Hi everyone, welcome to the Mama Elephant YouTube channel. This is Rena. Welcome to the last day of introductions for the June 15th release. Today we have Little Agenda Spaceship. It's so cute. It's become one of my favorite little agenda sets. I love the little dog astronaut and Earth. So cute. Here's a look at the coordinating dies, and you can see the two spaceships have different things that they do after you cut the die. So I did show how to use those special cuts and how they work in a bit. Next up is the Inlaid Balloons Creative Cuts, and this is a fun set that cuts out 3 different shapes of balloons, and it'll have that stitched detail for the string, and then there's little stars, circles, and hearts that you can cut out and use them as filler to make a shaker card. So you can either inlay or make a shaker, so it's really versatile. So behind the scenes, I could not make a galaxy background to save my life. Oh my goodness. So I just decided to take Bristol Smooth cardstock. This was literally my 15th try, and I'm just like, I have to get this done. So Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm using regular Distress ink in Picked Raspberry, Wilted Violet, and Mermaid Lagoon. And then you got to be careful with the Bristol Smooth cardstock because it's not watercolor paper. So I spritzed it with water, and there's a point where you can swish the water around, and that's what I did until I got my desired look, and then I let it air dry. It took 3 hours to get to this point because I was using oxides and watercolor paper and trying new things in different colors. And I don't know, just sometimes it's not like you get it on the first try. So that drove me nuts. I ended up loving this version. So when it air dried, I did cut it out with the new Deep Etch Night Sky Cover. That is a new die for the June release. Now it's time to color the fun Little Agenda Spaceship set. I'm going to start off with this spaceship here. I love it. This is one of the images where the coordinating die cuts a little slit so you can tuck a tiny little critter inside the little spaceship. So cute. This here it cuts out normally, but you can place an animal in the cockpit so somebody is flying the vehicle. I tried to use colors that matched my background, so I'm using blues, some fuchsia colors, and also some purples. I loved playing with these and putting the little animals inside. It was so fun to work with this stamp set. So the next image is this little rocket, and when you use the coordinating die to cut it out, that circle in the middle cuts out. I didn't know that when I was coloring this image, so I did color the inside of the rocket, but it does cut out. And that way you can use one of the critters that are in the stamp set and put them behind that circle. These images here were my favorite. There are 3 little critter astronauts, and I think they're so adorable. I loved coloring them. I think they're so cute. I used all of them on my card, of course, because they needed to be. I'm just using some simple colors here. These are small images, so when the images are small, I don't really concern myself with blending and all of that. I just typically use one marker and leave a little white space just so there's variation. But when they're this small, I don't worry about doing the whole blending thing. I love these. Here is the Earth, and I had a little panic moment for a second because I went in and I colored right away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't check to see if I was really coloring the continent or if it was an ocean, but I believe I did it correctly. But I had like a little moment of, did I do that right? So here is how that rocket ship cuts out. There's a little hole in the middle, and then you can put one of the tiny little critters on the inside peeking out. This here has a little slit and you can tuck in that animal. I didn't color those on screen, I'm noticing right now, but there's like little animals and those are to be used with these spaceships. Okay, let's put this card together. I did use one of the sentiments from the stamp set, best of luck on your new adventure. There's also another sentiment, a birthday one as well. I'm taking the background that we made earlier and then I'm adhering it to white. I was thinking of like, what color should I use? I was thinking of yellow, but I just wanted to keep it white. So my colors were consistent. I didn't want to introduce another color. And I'm just adhering all of the images to the front of the card, and I've used double-sided foam tape on all of the images so that all of them are popped up. So I had a lot of fun with this. There was one rocket ship that didn't fit, so I popped it on the second card that I made. I wasn't planning to, but I wanted to use all my images. So I love these astronauts. I used all 3 of them, so cute. And then the last images I'm going to put are the Earth and the Moon, and I think they're so super adorable. And that'll be it for this card. I loved how it turned out. Here's the Inlaid Balloons Creative Cut set. I'm showing you how the inlay works. I also did a little ink blending so you can see the stitching, which represents the string. But you don't have to make a shaker card. You can use the heart that cuts out. I ink blended it, and you can do an inlay pattern. For this particular card, I'm choosing to do the shaker way of doing it. And I did recently get the speckled egg distress oxide ink, and I wanted to try it out and see what it looked like because I hadn't used it before. It is like a crazy color. I was looking for cardstock that matched it, and I have nothing that matches it. It's so crazy. It's I love the color. It's beautiful, but it's so interesting because it doesn't match any of the cardstock that I currently own. It's just a really unique color. So I did do like a fade to white background. And then now I'm using the Hooray stamp set. That's also new for the June release. And that'll be my sentiment for this card. My lights are bright so you don't see the stitching detail. So they're meant to be balloons. So the stitching detail is the string, and you'll see it in real life. I'm using that secondary sentiment from the Hooray Wishes stamp set. Today we celebrate you. I'm just stamping it out in black. So behind the balloons will be a color. And since I couldn't find any cardstock that matched it, I decided to do some ink blending just in that area. So I'm like, I'll just do a yellow. And then it looked really plain to me, so I decided to add a little bit of orange on top, just so there's like a little bit of contrast, a little bit of shadow, and I really liked how that ended up looking like. It's what I needed in my mind. So now that I know that it works, I'm going to just make the blend a little bit more seamless, and I really liked that. I liked adding that little bit of orange so it pops against the blue. So now we're going to start our shaker card. I'm going to add some adhesive and then put my acetate down, and then after the acetate is down, I'm going to use some double-sided foam adhesive. I'll put the link down below for the adhesive that I use. I take out the release paper here when I'm doing a weird shape and I have to kind of maneuver it around. So you take out the release paper so it's easier. So I'm putting this foam tape around the shapes because that's where I'm going to be putting the shaker bits. And on the left side of the screen, you'll see that I used the dies that came with the die set to cut out some filler, and I've cut out the stars and also the little circles. I love these little stars and like heart shapes and circle shapes because I do use them on my cards like as an extra little element or detail. I just like the way stars look for some reason. So I did cut a bunch of those out, and I'll be using it as part of the shaker filler. So I'm starting to fill my shaker up now. And then I decided, oh, it's paper. I'm going to powder the inside of the double-sided foam adhesive so it doesn't stick. So I've added the filler, and then now I'm adding some gold stars. I always add gold stars to my shaker cards. Those particular sequins came from Michaels. So that now my shakers are filled, I'm going to take that background that I made. I'm going to make sure that that yellow portion lands where it needs to. And then that is what it ended up looking like. It came out better than I thought it would. I loved it. It looked three-dimensional for some reason. I think it was because some of the shaker filler was sticking to the acetate, but it looked really, really nice. You cannot see the stitching, but I can see it in real life for the string. I had a couple of stars left over, so I'm going to use that to embellish my sentiment. So I'm adding 5 of them. I'm just gluing them down, and it just adds a little bit more to the card. I thought my card needed something else, so I had this spaceship left from my first card, and I really wanted to use all of the images. So I thought I'm just going to pop it on this card, and it's exactly what the card needed. I loved how it looked, and I wanted to use all of the little Agenda Spaceship images because they were so, so cute. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching and for joining me. Remember, the release drops on midnight, June 15th, which is also 9 p.m. June 14th Pacific time. Make sure to visit the Mama Elephant blog for the Stampede on June 15th. You'll get to hop on all of the other designers' blogs to see how they used the new product. That is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day. Stay safe and happy crafting. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.